Hello, everyone.
Hey,
No.
everybody.
Hello. Hey guys.
Let's just do it. All right. Hey. You're
Hey.
listening to No Gods, No
No
Kings,
kings.
Only Men.
Only
The
men.
podcast.
Episode 4.
Yeah. No, it's episode 3.
Episode 3.
We got it. It's episode 3. This podcast, me and my older brother read short fantasy stories to one another based on prompts. So that's what we're going to do for you guys today. Welcome
I'm
to the
probably
show.
also going to release this under the other podcast that I run,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for posterity's sake.
And
Dare ye enter the Goblin Cave? So like
But,
a little of both.
you know, when
It should be good.
when it's the two brothers, it's got a little more flavor.
Yeah,
But it will be under the same banner, certainly.
just got to consolidate your bases.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're too early in the game to start having an entire network.
True.
But we can try. Anyway, hey everybody. I'm sorry this episode is so long. First year of college was depressing as fuck. So I had to stop writing extra fantasy homework because I had too much regular homework and other work. But I'm back now. I'm looking forward to writing more stories and talking to my brother some more. So
Fuck yeah,
that's where
man!
I've
It's
been. I don't know.
I'm glad this is happening again. It was like
Me
what
too,
like
yeah.
just a couple months there. I was
Gavin
like,
and I
oh
had
man,
like a weird psychic moment where I was thinking about asking him to do the show again, and like that night he texted me about doing the show again unprompted. And I
yeah,
was like,
dude.
whoa, it's a sign.
This shit keeps happening.
Yeah.
There's magic involved.
I mean, we're not twins, so we're less magical than we could have been, but
Again, so it's like
still, I mean, yeah.
we're close enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Close enough. But yeah, my life's much better. I definitely got stressed out a bit there for a minute, but now I have like a nice house. I don't have a roommate that sleeps in my room, which makes this easier. And I have a cat who was named after a Roman emperor before I even got him. So
Very
yeah,
nice.
Thanks, previous owners. You already gave him a cool fantasy name. Didn't even have to
What is your
try.
cat's name? What's your cat's
His
name?
name is Titus.
Awesome.
And I call him by a different fantasy title when we're alone in a room. So I'll just pick a random thing and I'll just confuse him as to what his actual name is, like Titus the Grave Walker or Titus of the
Oh,
Sacred
that's sick
Flame.
as fuck.
I just
Yeah.
switch every time. He has no clue what his real title is, but I mean,
he'll earn one. That's the point
he
of the
might.
title.
If he's earned any title, the couch scratcher, I guess, because he doesn't understand the scratching post at all.
This is Emperor Titus, Bane of IKEA.
Bane, yes. IKEA's Bane, yeah. No, he doesn't jump. He's like a little chubby cave cat. He only goes under things. He doesn't jump on top of things. So when he does go up the couch, he has to climb it instead of jumping, and he just wraps the arms. He's not fit, and he's not super smart. He's a good boy though. He's a chill little fluff ball. But yeah, we're back. My brother and we already caught up a little bit before the show. I think yesterday we jammed out for a while.
Yeah, Declan's been getting into the whole realm of singing.
Well, I've already been
keyboarding
singing for years, but I was trying to teach myself the keyboard.
Yeah, it's turning out good, dude. It's turning out real good.
Of instruments. I don't know if it's a very fantasy instrument, but
You just gotta add like the words flux and capacitor somewhere,
right,
like flux
yeah.
keyboard.
I named it Flynn, which is a cool guy with a trench coat name. But Gavin.
No, that's a secret. That's a secret.
Fuck is it? You can cut it out, I guess.
I'm gonna edit that out.
Just only censor the word of the instrument, but nothing else around it.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
Just so
it is a fantasy instrument. FYI.
it's fantasy as fuck, boy.
It is. I'm pretty excited for him to start his musical journey.
I've played it before. I know like a little bit about it. And it's similar to a keyboard.
Oh, you
but
touched
like,
one.
Yeah, I'm
Where'd
more
you
than
do
touched
that?
one. Secret.
No.
Redacted.
Yeah, you know, just a satanic gathering, no big deal. Maybe a
Whoa,
little
whoa, whoa,
underground
whoa.
cave. Someone was jamming on it. I asked to pick it up. But yeah,
Basically. Essentially.
I have a I have a quick shout out to make here.
Oh, for sure.
This goes out to the only comment I've seen on any of our videos, not from someone that I know in real life.
Oh, yeah?
A fine egg says, "I'm so upset that I stumbled upon these so late. You're a great duo. I see the fantasy fiction influence, but you guys are much more chill when compared to the loud, bombastic, frenetic FF. So, hey, fine egg,
Yeah!
you ain't late at all, baby. I took a year off. Welcome back." Listen, not saying he made me come back, but maybe that one comment kind of helped. So, thank you.
That dude
Random
really...
stranger.
It made my day.
Do you know
being
a fine
compared to
egg? Are you
fantasy
gonna ruin
fiction.
the magic that they're one of your
No,
friends?
I do not know him,
Hell
actually.
yeah,
I just kind of...
dude.
I thought you did.
No, I don't. It's literally, he's just a stranger, and it's like, made my fucking day. So, yeah, man, you're not late at all. This is episode 3, and he commented that on episode 2 5 months ago. So,
Yeah. Welcome
good
to the next
news.
level, bro.
Yeah, you made it. You made it on the podcast. We love you, sir. So, yeah, I just wanted to give my thanks
Good.
to the motivator here.
Good shout out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well,
All right.
we should talk about, I guess, the format of the show. We always have prompts to write
Mm,
our stories
yeah.
by. The prompts, I almost said this week. It's very incorrect. The prompt for the last year.
Technically, it is
Yeah.
happening this week,
I
so...
did write it within this week, so, you know.
There we go.
The prompt was treasure and golems, I believe. Or
Yes,
lost
yes.
treasure. Golems and lost treasure.
Lost treasure and
But-
golems.
Yes. Could be.
Is the golem perhaps the lost treasure?
See, this is where the writing genius comes in. You
Indeed.
take these prompts a lot of places, I think.
And it should be noted that, we're not like doing super serious fucking stories.
Yeah,
like I'm
absolutely.
personally rocking maybe first or second draft shit.
Yeah, this is, I think, a first draft. I didn't really proofread it.
Yeah.
But, no, we're trying to make each other laugh. We like over-the-top, maybe metal stuff. The writing style, loosening it up helped me get this done way easier than before. I mean, so pretty loose comedic stuff. So we just want to have a way of keeping in touch because we live far away from each other. Now that
Yeah, man.
I moved to the fantasy world of Oregon. So, yeah, it's a good way for us to keep in touch. We like making each other laugh. So it's just sometimes it's gonna be stupid, and you should
Hopefully-
like that, or you should get
Hopefully
the fuck
always
down.
it'll be stupid.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
Well, I heard Gavin, you have an epic for us, 4,000 words.
Yeah, no,
this
I went
month.
a little bit overboard this time around.
Yeah.
I just so I'll try to read through it fairly quick. How about I go second as
That's
to
what I
not?
was gonna say. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we can really sit with yours if it goes last, because it sounds like a long tail. Mine is 2,400
Like a glass
words.
of fine brandy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you want glasses of brandy to be longer than other drinks.
You want it to
Then
be
you'll
as long as
die.
possible if it's expensive.
Okay, sure. But yeah, so mine is 2,400 words this week, which pretty sizable compared to others. I think the last story for this show was 26, so it's not quite
Yeah, I
as
remember-
long as female wizard school.
Fucking, I remember the troll story. I was like rocking 1,000, just a little over 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Which I like
so-
the shorter length sometimes, especially if it's very comedic. It's more fun.
Yeah, I should probably go back to that kind of frantic pace. Honestly, this episode, I'm not super feeling my story.
Man.
I'll edit this out. I'll edit this part out.
That's
Actually,
okay.
no, it's fucking. I'm Let's
Well,
roll the punches. Let's do this.
I'm very excited to share with you my story because I think you'll like it, definitely. There's also an Easter egg just for you, Gavin.
Oh yeah?
I want you to stop me when you think you've heard it.
I'm gonna miss this, but okay,
It's
let's
okay.
fucking do it.
It's a line of dialogue just for you. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to my story. We're gonna
Hello.
go. I heard we're getting new transition music, and then it's gonna be metal as hell, but I don't know what it sounds like, so I hope that sets
gonna
the
be good.
right mood. Let's get into the story. Are you ready, Gavin?
All right. I am ready for spaghetti, dude.
My story is not titled. I will title it now. I think we're gonna call it Pyramid Scheme.
Pyramid scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you I was there's this guy who was trying to recruit me for a pyramid scheme. Yeah.
Really? Well,
It was like selling vitamin supplements to old people, and it's like, this is wrong, dude.
That's pretty wrong. I mean, they're all fake, right? Because it's just guck in a tablet. Well, maybe this story will teach you how to tell them to shove it. So
Awesome. I love it.
Pretty rock and roll. All right. Pyramid scheme begins. All right. The realms of mortals are host to many fertile lands. In rolling green behind wood and marsh, kingdoms' lives are lived. But dare you travel south as far as one's feet may carry you, you will travel past crooked mountains and a canyon so deep it rifts the earth. Make it to the other side, and you will have made it to that nameless great desert. Sands so vast its true width has never been fully crossed, a place which no living being calls home. The memory of this place would have faded entirely from the songs of bards and the memoriam of history, were it not for a treasure that lies in its heart. By the way, we can comment during one another's stories, and
I don't want to because
laugh
I'm
and
loving the setup here.
I'm just
Continue.
telling the
Keep going.
audience, but yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Right.
Anyone in the audience
I'm
who
glad
wants to be on the show in the
You're
future.
this fucking desert. Let's
Yeah.
go for the treasure. For betwixt a vast dune and ruined obelisks, monuments to the big-dicked pharaohs of old. What? You didn't know pharaohs had big old dicks? Of course they did. What did you think? Like some guy walks up and is like, I'm your god, and people didn't ask to see his massive donger? Of course you gotta have a big old swanger to be regarded as a god. People don't die piling up rocks for anything less than 6 inches, buddy. It's basic history.
Oh.
It's true. I'm taking a class. It's true. Anyway,
Gotcha.
I really wrote anyway. Betwixt that great dune and thine crumbled ruins of Phalia, there is a great pyramid. It is said that within the pyramid's innermost burial chamber there lies the mummy Calax. The immortal mummy Calax. Legend states that the one to make it to the great mummy will be granted a great treasure, a single wish, granted by divine ability of the old pharaoh's decrepit, nasty, mummified god rod. So my treasure is it's like metaphor. Well, it's a wish is the treasure. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm loving this so
I'm
far.
glad. It's gonna cut real cold right into it pretty soon.
Okay,
I gotta
lay it on
come
me.
up with a voice for this guy. You mage can wield magics of many names, but tell me, what is the force you can never wield? That which raises and ruins king and kingdom. It was a regular Thorns Day at the Pyramid of Calax. Goroth, the immortal guardian, stood tall over 3 sand-swept travelers, a mage, a ranger, and a knight. They had journeyed far to reach the pyramid, and were now beset by their first trial. Goroth, a giant built of living sandstone, allows only those that answer his riddles to pass the sandworm moat into the pyramid.
I love it.
His face is carved in an ogre-like scowl, tusks jutting from his lower jaw. 2 horns jut from his head, and he leans taller than any mortal man against his great stone glaive. Well, he presses the mage, who was first to speak to Goroth when the party approached his pedestal. The mage, skinny in frame, wears broken glasses and brims with self-doubt. He stammers and stutters until finally he speaks to Goroth with a nasally tone. Oh, wait. His fucking voice. Oh, wait. I got it. It both brings kings to rise and leaves kingdoms as ruins. Out with it, boy, speaks an aged armored knight, the third of these 3 companions. It's time. The answer is time. Goroth sighed to himself in resignation. It was about a month ago when Kalax, the big boss himself, spoke to Goroth from the pyramid. Apparently, Goroth's cool riddles were too hard, and the other trials inside the pyramid were running out of things to do. So Kalax got together in some meeting chamber with a bunch of fucking sentient snakes or whatever the fuck, and they wrote Goroth an approved list of riddles. The answer to all of them was time. Goroth thought it was total bullshit. Yes, wizard, it is time. A lot of Goroth's lines are in all caps, by the way.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I will allow you to pass. Goroth shifted to the side, and the 3 began stepping forward. They were halted by Goroth's booming voice soon after. Only you, wizard. The rest have yet to answer my riddles. Hey, that's not fair, cried the mage in protest. Oh shit, he totally riddled you, dude, said the party's second companion. She was a fierce ranger, wild-eyed, in a sand-blasted green cloak, and an arrow and quiver on her back. The mage continued his protest. No fair. I want to speak to your manager.
Oh god, he's one of those.
He's one of those. Goroth placed his hand wearily over his brow. In italics, they always ask to speak to the fucking manager. Enough, uttered Goroth, standing fully over the mage. Goroth picked him up with one hand by his shoulders and flung him over the quicksand band which surrounds the pyramid. He landed perfectly into the entrance tunnel of the pyramid. The mage's companions said nothing more as Goroth faced the ranger. You, ranger, have faced all manner of beasts, from land, sea, and sky. But tell me, what consumes forest and mountain just as any bird in the air or deer in the woods? The ranger thought for a moment and hesitantly replied, also time? Goroth was taken aback. She was, of course, right, but honestly, he wasn't about to take this shit. It's not so easy, Goroth shot back. The answer is, of course, the Mega Bear. Shit, he's totally right. Can't believe I forgot about the Mega Bear. That thing's like 5,000 feet tall. You will be punished for your mistake.
I love it.
Mega Bears, dude, every time. Goroth raised his weapon and brought it down hard on the old knight that stood next to the ranger. Metal clanged as he was crushed flat into the ground like a nail that bleeds. Normally, Goroth would kill the person who got the riddle wrong, but honestly, she had totally had his back when the mage was being a dick earlier, and he appreciated that. Plus, this way he got to skip riddling the knight, so.
Win-win.
Be gone now from this place, Goroth commanded. The ranger had been gone some time when the disembodied voice of Pharaoh Kalax emanated from the pyramid. I think I'm gonna make him sound like Skeletor.
Okay, I love it, yeah.
Goroth! That's pretty good. Yes, boss, Goroth reluctantly responded. Did you just ask that party of adventurers 2 riddles? Yeah, there were like 3 of them. I don't care how many there are, Goroth. We're running a special right now. I brought this up at the last meeting. 1 riddle gets free entry for your group. I sent a bunch of skeletons to bury tablets and shit all over the desert that said so. But Kalax's ephemeral voice cut Goroth short. I'm tired of excuses, Goroth. Not only did you ask them 2 riddles, one of those riddles wasn't on the approved list. You threw that guy that actually got the first riddle. Well, technically, the riddle is on the approved list. I just changed the answer. Gorath, don't riddle me right now. I'm your boss. You need to listen to me. He was being annoying about it. Asked to see my manager. I mean, what is that? This is an ancient pyramid. Gorath, if an adventurer wishes to speak to me, especially to complain about your service, you are not to deny them. As Kallax went on and on about workplace synchronicity and the importance of feedback, Gorath began to overflow with silent anger. He hated the way things were done now. Back when, they didn't have to pretend their trials were possible to get people to try them. It wasn't his fault that these fucking current era adventurers had no bravery left. So why, then, is Gorath always the one getting chewed out? He had been a riddling immortal guardian for 4,000 years now, and all of a sudden, everyone's telling him how to do his job? Well, Gorath wasn't going to take it anymore. Gorath was about to go postal on this pyramid.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're going. Gorath whistled, and the sands before him shifted. Sandworms surfaced and formed a walkway for him with their tan segmented bodies. He took off over them wordlessly. I mean, come on, Gorath. How do you expect to improve if you don't listen to adventurer feedback? I mean, they're out there in the world. They know what's hip, what works right now. Hey, where are you going? You can't leave your post. You're bound there by an internal contract. Hey! Gorath paid his boss
just
no
words,
heed as
man.
he ducked into the entry tunnel of the pyramid. He came to a slab door carved with ancient ruins and depictions of Kallax atop a throne. He found the mage from before studying the door intensely. He hears Gorath's footfalls and turns to him. Oh, it's you. Well, I hope you're here to make amends for throwing me. The least you can do is help me open this door. I can't figure out these... Gorath took the mage's head and torso into one of his stony hands and squeezed. The mage was crushed instantly, blood and viscera seeping through Gorath's fingers. Gorath then considered the runes on the door for a moment, before he punched it, busting it all the fuck open.
Good.
Let's go. Yeah, he doesn't care, man. The first chamber Gorath came to was narrow and dimly lit by magical torchlight. The cold stone floor, bathed by dim orange glow, were covered by wriggling, poisonous 9-to-5 snakes. Gorath knew most of them, so he just started walking right by them. Occasionally, one snake would let out a, "Hey, Gorath," or, to him, or, "How's the weather up there?" One snake, in panic, did try and bite him, though, but he just broke his fangs against the stone of Gorath's body. "Hey,
Naturally.
You broke my little snaky tooth," said the snake. "Why, that's about the only little thingy you can breaky on my little snaky facey." Gorath kept walking without saying a goddamn thing because he has no remorse.
I love that line.
Yeah, I wanted the snake to be cute, so you felt bad, but Gorath don't give a fuck. So.
Good.
Gorath was blazing through each room in the pyramid. Poisonous darts plinked helplessly off of him, and any pressure plate activated spears he set off were just crushed beneath his feet. And you know that if some Indiana Jones-ass boulder tried any shit, Gorath would just crack that thing in half by just sticking on his arm.
Well, wait, would he be related to the boulder? I'm curious.
Is he related to... I don't know if it's made out of the same material. Yeah, maybe
probably,
he's
right?
related to the boulders, but he's just done, so... Finally, Gorath reached a sand-filled chamber, at the end of which was an archway filled with dark, roiling sands. 2 obelisks with worn inscriptions laid upright, half-buried. Behind them, a form slinked back and forth. I have to burp.
Let me burp for you, bro.
Thank you. The creature was a sphinx. It paced before Gorath, the muscles in its lion body tensing and contracting with every methodical footfall. This sphinx had a mane, folded wings, and the face of a man. The sphinx spoke to Gorath in an even, gentle tone. "In order to pass, you must answer." "The answer is time!" shouted Gorath as the sphinx sat still on its haunches, and the swirling sands of the archway calmed and fell away to open the door. Or to the floor. Fell away to the floor. Before Gorath passed the threshold, he turned to the sphinx and swung his weapon into the creature's face. The blow pushed all his man face bones back into his skull, and the sphinx fell to the floor in a pool of blood, its legs twitching like a dog in a dream.
Oh, fuck.
Must have taken you a while to think of that one, said Gorath as he entered Kalax's throne room. The ancient mummy sat centered atop a tall seat adorned with golden scarabs and lined with black onyx. His petrified body was ancient and unmoving. Spiderwebs filled the holes in his gray flesh, and tattered rags clung to him. Kalax! Gorath boomed. I passed your trials. I'm here for my fucking wish. The mummy stirred awake, his eye sockets filling with a supernatural glow. He craned his neck down to see Gorath standing at the feet of his throne steps. Gorath, this is highly irregular. I mean, you're an employee, and while there's nothing specifically written in the field manual, I don't think I am able to comply. Silence, old one, I want my wish. Kalax felt silent. Gorath really meant business, and no one had ever really made it this far anyway. All right, Gorath.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking Gorath guarding the temple. No one gets in.
All right,
Gorath, fine. But the aliens that helped us build this place won't be happy.
That's the Easter egg.
Yes,
That's the Easter egg you left for me. Thank you for that.
Confirmed. What is your wish? I wish to be free of this place, to no longer be bound to this pyramid. Kalax let out a raspy chuckle and croaked in an ancient voice. Very well, Gorath the Guardian. You will be free from your bonds in the only way possible. Kalax stood and began to hover above his throne. Swirling sands gathered speed around the chamber and lifted the mummy higher and higher into the vaulted ceiling of the prismatic chamber. As he continued to speak, a sick feeling washed over Gorath. Gorath shrank down to only 7 feet tall. As this transformation took him, the stone of his body turned into crimson red flesh. You will no longer be Gorath, immortal guardian, Kalax continued, but Gorath the mortal, free to walk from this pyramid, as all mortals are.
No.
You think you can fucking riddle me? Shouted Gorath as the ancient pharaoh rose higher and higher, sand swirling faster and faster. Some sand kept getting in Gorath's eyes, and they began to water. What is this? Gorath moaned to himself. Yeah, dude. Kalax cackled. Gorath, be assured you are free to go, but I will make sure you do not leave alive. Each grain that blew against Gorath's skin felt like a stinging needle. He gasped for air in the raging sandstorm, but found his throat only became drier and drier. In italics, this is pain, Gorath thought. But then...
Imagine he's always wondered about something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he has never known it before. He's been stoned. But then a strength came over him. A strength born of anger. With the only breath he had left, Gorath shouted, No one riddles me! With that, Gorath placed 2 fingers to his mouth and let out a high-frequency whistle. The earth trembled and shook below until the ceiling of the pyramid burst open to the light of the desert sun. Rubble crashed down on Kalax, bringing him to the chamber's floor along with his swirling sands, and a gargantuan sandworm landed next to Gorath with a deafening thud.
Rad.
Yeah. Gorath caught his breath. Good boy, he said. Gorath marched over to Kalax, who was now pinned under the cracked rocks. Gorath kicked him right in his mummy crotch, turning his mummified schlong to dust on impact. No!
Fucking rip. His claim to the throne.
Kalax cried as his immortal energy faded to nothing. The mummy lay silent now, a mere corpse in his own ruin. Gorath mounted the sandworm, and with another whistle took off into the desert. Speeding through the sands, Gorath came upon a traveler, her head wrapped against hot winds of the desert. Seeing the bow on her back, and hints of green below her desert garb, Gorath knew who she was. He brought his mount to a halt beside her. Hey, need a ride? Finn.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, what elements would you like to comment on specifically?
Oh, let's see. We're all lucky that the mummy didn't grant him the wish by just straight up eroding him into water, or like
That's true.
or sand
he
or whatever.
Could have genied him a little harder, or riddled
Yeah.
him rather. But I mean, I think he was
But
cocky. He thought he could take Goroth in a mortal form, but
not only was he cocky, but he's grown soft with age.
he has, man. I mean, his dick just turned to dust like immediately.
Fucking ripperoni.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's dead now, so.
I really like Goroth's apparent tagline, "No one riddles me."
Yeah, you fucker.
I see this happen. I see more Goroth in the future.
Yeah,
and I'm really happy about that.
I mean, and he's picking up that QT Ranger from before.
Yeah.
So
it's always an important stop to make.
Yeah, originally he was just gonna kill her, but then I was like, I mean, like she's kind of cool. Like Goroth probably respects it, but. Yeah, no, I liked writing this one, or I like this idea for sure. As I keep just putting modern problems into fantasy stories.
Yeah.
So I just did an office comedy instead. But
See, it's an office comedy with a huge amount of existential potential.
Yeah.
And it's true because it rhymes,
which is usually not in comedies, but.
Yeah, just the good ones.
I'm sure there is a comedy about killing your boss, right? That was the thing.
Yeah, no, there's that one movie a few years back that was like those like weird stoner comedians and then like shooting their bosses or whatever. Anyways, I don't.
I'm gonna have to watch that now. Thanks. But yeah, I liked Goroth. So you can see how you can change up the prompts. I made the Golem the main character, for mine. So.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I don't know. What would you wish for? Proof that aliens built the pyramid.
I don't know what I wish for. I'd probably be like trying to be all sassy with it and be like, I wish I knew what to wish for and I had the perfect idea.
But I only have be tortured because you'll know the perfect wish, but you already used it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a sick destiny, Because that way I'll be like the hermit who lives right outside the pyramid, and like I'll tell
people what to wish.
But, dude, I know what you should wish for. Unlimited hot dogs, bro.
It's the answer.
Trust me.
And
they'll be like, nah. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm ready for your story, I think.
Okay. Let's get some of that transition music going. Here it is. So, the thing is, it should be noted that I am not truly the author of this tale.
Oh.
For I had been possessed for a brief moment that, yes, felt like 1,000 lifetimes so fleeting they were extinguished in but an instant by some multi-dimensional entity known to me as Evil Stevel.
Good.
The end of realms, the beginning of roiling and bubbling insanity, friend to the wicked, the spiteful, and the dreamers. Enemy to the rational mind, to the pragmatist, and the civilized folk. It was not I. Yeah, it was not I, but this demon of sorts that wrote this entire story in just a handful of minutes. But seeing as time cannot be physically quantified in so few dimensions as us humans exist in, I realize that probably doesn't make much sense to you. And that's okay. Moving on.
You have a nice framing device.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the demon's name? Even Stevens?
Evil Stevel.
Evil Stevel. Okay, oh, okay. Now I get it. He's evil a little bit, maybe.
Oh, yeah, and it rhymes, so you know it's true.
Yeah, anything that's the rule in fantasy, but
Basically.
yeah.
So the title of the story
Yes.
is "The Real Treasure Was Friendship the Whole Time." All right. Far to the west of the doom bogs of North Drakis lies a bustling city known as Shank Point Ridge. Named after both the geological formation for which the city was built upon and the weapon of its valiant founder, Sir Scrotus.
These names are really evocative.
Thank you. I worked very hard for about half of them. In this coastal hub of trading, many foreigners bring gems, magic shit, and secrets from far-off lands to trade for locally produced but globally revered drugs, hookers, and booze.
Nice.
Here, yeah.
I feel like too many of our fantasy realms produce drugs. Like, I don't know who makes not drugs, you know?
I mean...
Like, Frog Guy from episode 1, they sold...
Dank Moss.
Yeah, we're gonna have a party.
Well, you know. Here, in the crowded, twisting streets, where 2- and 3-story buildings cast shadows over the markets and swarms of busy workers, in the world's 194th wildest tavern.
Who wrote that book, by the way?
What book?
Like the list.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, there's a sort of like Wikipedia list.
Okay.
Note that I said tavern. This list does not include blood pit taverns, cavern taverns, or bar and grills.
Bar and grills are exempt, just like blood caverns. Yes, naturally.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
This is because the folk of this world can be considered quite sensible. For they buy their hard liquor at 9-11s and used to and just drink it.
Is that their convenience store?
Yeah, that's the convenience store, 9-11s.
Yeah.
And they just drink that shit in the parking lot, or perhaps more frequently in the comfort of their friends and family's homes. Because, like, what are you going to do? Pay $12.50 for maybe a shot of something mediocre? Or are you going to pay $19 for a whole goddamn bottle? Right? Yeah, fuck bars. Anyways.
Was that written in the story?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. You were ad-libbing. Also,
I mean, sort of.
May I guess who the founder of the 9/11 chain is?
Yes, you can.
Bush.
You're correct.
Some things never change.
Some things never change, no matter what dimension. All right, so in this 194th most violent tavern. Okay, so the 194th most violent tavern is known as the Mystery Fuck Barrel. At least that's what it translates to, straight from Elvish. I'm sure somehow it's more eloquent sounding to them, but that guttural Elvish tongue just rubs me the wrong way, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the smug way those knife ears look at you and explain the name of their hoity-toity taverns. Bah! Elves. And again, I should mention that I did not write this. You know, there's a lot of subtle racism here you're going to pick up on.
Evil Stevel. I have to commend Evil Stevel for making a made-up racial slur cut so deep, because there's some venom when you said knife ears, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In this tavern, the local guardsmen seldom do visit, for it is home to the roughest sailors and the cleverest of swindlers, as well as many a naive tourist. Also, it smells like pee and fish outside.
Of course.
Hey, I'm gonna take a swig.
Yeah. We're both drinking tea today.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
What are you drinking your tea out of?
It was a mug I got for free because it was on the ground in a building I lived in.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I dig it. That's weird, actually. You live in Portland. You don't want to touch things you find on the ground there.
No, it was like people just dropped like piles of free stuff on floors when they were moving out. So I got like 3 mugs, like a bunch of cups. I got a I got a measuring cup that's like super nice. Anyway. Yeah.
Solid,
It's a
man.
pretty normal mug, but it was free, so.
Neat. It's the thought and the magic behind the item that makes it more powerful.
Yeah, I found it. It was a lost treasure.
Oh, there he is, sneaking
Got
it
him.
in. All right. Here, in this tavern, a young street elf named Felix makes his living. The elf is tall, like most of them, and has blonde hair and unsettling blue eyes. No pupils, not even those white eye parts. And of course, he had the telltale pointed ears, one with piercing, and one that seemed to have a bite taken out of it at some point.
So, I feel like Evil Stevel is one racist.
Yeah,
And
a little
two,
bit.
doesn't know, like, what humanoids are supposed to be. Because he doesn't know what, like, things are called.
Well, okay, no, he has it written here. It just, I don't know how to pronounce it. SCLERALCONJUNCTIVA. Like, I don't speak.
Okay.
That's the, yeah,
He's
like, I don't
pretty
speak Latin, bro.
inclined then, yeah.
You see, it's weird that, like, Evil Stevel writes this kind of stuff, and, like, I'm barely able to, like, keep up with it.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of some dark shit, my
He's
man.
also still pretty racist.
Yeah, very. Felix sits at the table with his new acquaintance, an orc man, probably 300 or so pounds of muscle. His skin a dark green with patches of mismatched iron armor and scars just fucking everywhere. Felix himself is wearing the nicest and most formal clothing he owned, though it be well worn by now. His curly blonde hair resting low on his shoulders, and his evil grin only barely concealed by his poker face. He grabs a handful of his own rockworm tooth dice and rolls them across the table. "Ah, set and down. Looks like you gotta roll low or pay up, Redtooth," exclaimed the elf. As Redtooth, the orc, eyed the growing pile of glittering silver accruing in front of this elven local, he considered paying with steel instead.
Do it.
Yeah. As orcs often do. Redtooth picked up his regular wooden dice and rolled them with all his heart, but to no avail. "Oh, too high. What a shame," said the elf, making eye contact with the last of Redtooth's silver pieces.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you're telling me Heart of the
Hmm?
Dice didn't work.
It doesn't always
He
work.
tried to
It
hard
doesn't.
cards those dice and it didn't come through.
You know, against some custom-made rockworm tooth dice.
Yeah. He rolled with all his heart, but
Yeah.
alright.
Considering they're custom-made rockworm tooth dice, you could assume that Felix had made them
Yeah.
like a little
So,
more inclined to win.
just like a fucking elf would.
Typical elven behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Sorry, that
I
wasn't me. That was Evil
apologize to any
Stevel.
elves listening.
Yeah. But, anyways, fuming with orc fury, he stood from the table, towering over the young elf, who now began to develop a nervous smile. I wrote his dialogue in caps. "Redtooth is good to his word, but Redtooth has had enough." He dropped the rest of his coin into the elf's growing stash and began to take his leave of the table. Wait, don't go! "Here, let me buy you a drink," the elf proclaimed. He motioned over to the tired, black-haired bartender. "Come on, Redtooth, it's all just a game. It wouldn't be any fun if I didn't give you a chance to win it all back, right?" Redtooth eyed the elf's pile of silver that had once all been his. He remembered fighting for it, killing for it, the scars on his chest still fresh from it. He was quite interested in getting it back. He pondered the shifty elf's proposition as he stroked the black braided beard and rested his offhand on his murdering axe. "Redtooth has no more coin." "Well, that's okay. Say, how about I wager all of this cash for..." The elf paused and pretended to not know what he wanted. "For that axe on your hip."
No. Don't do it. It's your
True to the...
livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True to the abhorrent nature of elves, Felix felt alive and... Rude.
Yeah.
Felix felt alive in situations like this, pushing the boundaries of decency and taking from his fellow sentient being everything he could. And obviously, his list of enemies has grown from it. The orc was baffled. Surely, one should never risk disarming oneself, for it was in his code that he never be without a weapon, or at least the ability to kill his foes. Surely, he couldn't accept. Though the raid he went on for that gold did cost the lives of many a brave orc, and those left alive surely would wish some compensation for their part as well. He couldn't go back to the ship empty-handed, so with a thud and a few clanks, he sat back down. Then Elray, the other elvish bartender, came over. 2 wooden tankards, each with a cap of foam 3 inches above the glass, settled down. Everyone was impressed and delighted. Because, foam caps are cool.
Service.
Yeah, man. And as he came close to the blonde elf, he whispered under his wide mustache, "Don't push him. It'll get you killed," in a tone of perhaps ill-placed concern for his eldest friend. And as if to respond to the bartender's plea, Felix addressed the table. "All right, just one more round. Winner take all," with his usual smug elvish accent. Cut to a few hours later. Felix is... yeah, got him. Cut to a few hours later. Felix is nursing yet another tankard, while bar stools are piled high on tables. He has a nasty black eye and a missing tooth. But he also does have a fat sack of coins and a fancy new murdering axe nestled on his belt loop.
Oh, alright, you kept it all.
Yeah. Not sure how he got out of that one, but,
Who knows? We cut away.
"So what do you tell the poor sod?" said Elray the bartender. "Well, I heard it's his first time in Shanks Point, and from the look of their ship, looks like they had a few run-ins with the Federation up north. So I decided to officially welcome to our lovely city. As its king, of course," Felix explained. "A king with no crown?" Elray raised a bushy eyebrow. "Oh, of course not. I never understood the point of crowns." "Well, I guess it's to show off that you have a bunch of money, so people take you serious like. I don't know about you, but when you rest about 1,000 golden bones on top of your head, I'll take you for a fool who's trying to lose some weight in the old coin purse, you know what I'm saying?" Elray sighed heavily. "It's gonna get you killed, you know. You remember that matriarch from Wetwood Lake?" Hag with a scraggle? Yeah, Wetwood Lake.
Names. Killing it. So, wait, okay, so Felix is saying he's gonna take over this town?
No, he was just posing as the king to welcome Red Tooth in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just fucking around. He didn't even have a crown to sell it.
Yeah.
He's a scam artist. Felix grinned. Hag with a scraggle tooth and gems like you wouldn't believe. "Yeah, that's the one," said Elray. "She put this out the other day." The bartender unfolded a bit of parchment kept under the table and read it to Felix, who lost a shade of color to the point where he be as white as marble. For what Elray held in his hands was a wanted poster, with a poor description of the elf and his crooked smile, and the words, 1,000 golden bones dead, and 1,500 golden bones alive.
Oh, is that their currency?
Yeah, golden bones.
I thought all crowns just looked like bones. Like...
Yeah, that's sick as fuck, actually.
I was picturing literal golden bone crowns, and then just like every king chooses the same design. But
you know what?
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and make that canon. All crowns are made out of
gold.
golden bones.
Literally.
And the money they use to trade is they just call it currency.
Thinking Felix might need to get some large amount of treasure to pay off this bounty, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think he's got that much on him from what he swindled from Red Tooth.
I don't think he had 1,000 golden bones.
Elray continued, "Yeah, every bounty hunter and do-gooder from here to Fort Bloodrock is going to be after your ugly mug," and Elray was cut off by Felix, who mumbled something through the terror, probably something about how such a wanted poster couldn't do his elvish visage justice. You know,
Fucking
how all... yeah, you know how vain elves are and all.
Yeah, especially if they have like an F name. don't know.
Yeah, that just F stands for full of yourself.
Fuck yeah. Yep.
Look, Felix, you gotta leave town. Felix stared angstily into his drink, eyes wide and mind racing with possibilities. Elray had never seen his friend get down like this before. At least, not in years, anyway. Felix dropped his entire coin sack on the table and went for the door, but before he departed, he turned back to the bartender and with maybe one tear forming in his eye said, "You always been good to me. It's all yours." 'Twas a rare act of compassion, especially for a typical, greedy elf such as he.
Yeah.
Thanks, narrator. You're just trying to ruin these
Really
touching
had
moments.
to undercut this moment.
Yeah. The bartender asked, "Where are you going to go?" Felix the elf reached into his bag and pulled forth a scroll, with a grin that for once in his life was not so self-assured. I swiped this treasure map from a pirate. I'm going to get rich. Good luck here, I guess. Felix slammed the door and ran like a typical elven coward into the night.
Yep.
The heartbroken bartender, having just lost one of his dearest friends, cleaned Felix's mug for perhaps the last time. But this time, he noticed something new. Carved into Felix's usual table space was his name, spelled, very wrong. The X was in the front, the E was upside down, and the I was nowhere to be seen, when the realization hit him like a bolt to the chest. Elray remembered that Felix can't fucking read human words. And this truth made the narrator giggle, made the author giggle.
So, yeah, can he read the map?
I don't think so.
Not well.
I don't know.
He can see the shapes. There's an
He'll
X.
figure it
There's
out.
a big shape in an X usually, so I think he's fine.
Yeah. Cut to Felix on probably a stolen steed, moving swiftly through the woods, heading east.
Probably a stolen fucking bicycle.
Yeah. It's a steed. It's a steed.
Whoa.
Its frantic footfalls only half as fast as Felix's own heartbeat, his hood blown back and sweat droplets threatening to make him blind. Voices echoed through the woods, the barked commands of the town's guardsman lieutenant, and the complying voices of at least 2 other soldiers. "It's no use running, Felix. We got you this time. It's the Navy for you."
Oh my god.
Yeah. Compulsory Navy service. That's fucking
Dude,
rough.
He's not gonna do well in the Navy. He doesn't take direction well.
Very true. Also, we don't know if he can read a map.
That's
Maybe
probably
you'd learn there.
helpful too, yeah.
Yeah. So they yell that, taunted the pursuing lieutenant in an authoritative tone that probably earned him the rank to begin with. Felix recognized this pathway, though, and he slowed down. He slowed his steed's pace and put out his lantern. He let himself feel the cool air of the night and the whistling of the wind as it passed through the forest. Much like the pockets of nobler men, he knew this forest. Rude. He took a sharp left into some shrubbery and behind a large rock that was, smaller than he remembered. He kept traveling, guided only by his memory, till he found it. One of the great oaks that had fallen over long ago and been hollowed out almost entirely by bugs and time. Where he and his friend Elray spent their childhoods building kingdoms of twigs and playing as great beasts, destroying city blocks in just a single kick. Felix guided his, under heavy quotation marks, his battle ostrich into the interior and pressed its back to the wall.
It was stolen, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably stolen. Also steed is a battle ostrich.
Not a battle
You thought.
ostrich.
You thought. I only said steed.
It
I
was
was very...
me to assume.
Yes. Fantasy! He pressed his back to the wall and clutched the murdering axe close to his chest and waited. And waited. And waited for what felt to him like hours, but indeed was only a handful of minutes. Until he finally heard footsteps, the crunching of leaves and twigs, and of course, as any elf would, the thought of surrender raced through his mind. But he heard too many stories. He couldn't go to prison. He couldn't serve in the Navy as a slave rower in Shank Point's ceaseless war against the Federation of the Northlands. No, he'd rather die than be dragged into that bloody conflict. And perhaps, for the first time in his brief elf life, he felt the rush of bravery in the face of oblivion. So he clutched the axe and steeled himself for death. When from outside, a hushed whisper spoke to him. Bird thief, too. Now the guards... Ugh. By the gods, are you trying to die, Felix?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is
It was
this a
Elray.
friend? Oh,
It was Elray.
Let's go.
And the relief flooded Felix's mind the same way that icy water floods the cracked and broken hulls of most of Shakespeare's Navy ships. There they waited till morning and set off again. But this time, Elray held the map. Cut to a female orc. Cowl decorated with the tusks of many a fallen orc, kneeled next to the bird footprints of Felix's mount.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
What a
she
badass
paused.
bounty hunter.
She paused, sniffed the air, her eyes pure black as she spoke to her comrade. Two now. They travel east. That's my girl voice, by the way.
It's pretty good. I don't think I can do a girl voice that good. Like, it does register as female. I like it.
Nice. I was not actually intending it to sound good.
It's pretty good.
Her comrade she spoke to, Redtooth, grinned menacingly,
Let's go.
showing off his mangled fangs, one of which sharpened and dyed a deep shade of red. What were you saying?
I just said, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I like Redtooth a lot more, I think, than the main character.
He's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I'm afraid the story might not do him the best justice, but the
okay.
extended version that I'll make later will.
The expanded universe, we can get Redtooth.
Yeah. By the way, like, all of my stories, I go back and I add, like, 10,000 words to. I just make them bigger.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so the podcasts, again, they're only, like, first or second draft, so I'm just...
Yeah, if it was a lot, like, these episodes would be super long.
Yeah. Alright. Cut again. Back to them boys. A few days later,
I like
of course.
the use of cuts, like, really constantly.
Yeah, well, like, you know, shit's going on. Some of it's boring. You gotta skip it.
Yeah.
So where are we going anyway? Felix asked. The bartender mumbled, "Don't even know what the map's for," as he furrowed his brow and began trying to decipher the language for himself. It's, really old. Hard to read the writing, you know? Spoke Elray. Tell me about it, retorted Felix. They laughed and continued east. They traveled for days, finding spooky abandoned watchtowers and mystical waterfalls, as well as some bizarre talking birds that spoke of the end of all things when the moon engulfs the sun.
Holy shit.
You know, just fucking paranoid fucking birds.
I like that, like, the set dressing is just... Oh, also there's birds that have a really scary prophecy. Those are my favorite. I hope the birds come back.
No, just wait. Sharing the last portions of their ration and taking turns keeping night's watch, till one night, at their camp, the elves were sitting on a log, roasting one of those talking birds. A stranger approached, clad in worn steel armor that still gleamed brightly by the campfire. He stood tall on his horse and spoke. Hail,
Okay.
stranger!
Glad it's a horse this time.
It's a horse this time,
Alright.
yeah. Hail, strangers, it is I, the Justice Golem.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the robot voice is a good... I didn't think of that for a golem, but yeah.
I came here seeking the fugitive elf by the name of Felix, last name, false king of Shank Point Ridge. Oh, hey, I'm, Derricusosnesabis. No Felix is here, Felix said, extremely convincingly.
Excellent fake name.
Yeah.
Quick thinking.
Solid.
Convincing.
Extremely convincingly. Now standing and glancing nervously around, even for an elf, Felix was particularly adept at lying. But would he be able to deceive an automaton.
I feel like they might be easier to lie to.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Felix is here, said Elray, unconvincingly. Want some bird? Felix shot the bartender a glance for perhaps breaking his clever ruse. The golem whipped his head towards Elray and announced, I detect you have lied. I will examine you, the bounty hunter said, dismounting his horse. He did the robot over to the duo, ocular inputs locked menacingly on target, trying to discern the features hidden by his furry hood. The bird smells a little burnt. Why don't you, handle it, said Felix to Elray, who then stepped closer to the charred mess that was once a bird, while the bounty hunter stepped yet closer to Felix to examine him. The Justice Golem pulled out a mace, apparently coming to a conclusion. You're coming with me, elf. I was created to bring justice, and so I shall. He hit Felix right in the ribs with the mace, and he went down hard. The bartender, seeing an opportunity, tackled the golem, tripping him over a log they had previously been using as a bench, and pinned the poor Justice Seeker down, which was easy, considering how heavy his armor was, and proceeded to drag it by the arms into the fire, where its clay skin hardened, trapping its half-sentient essence in an unmovable body for at least the next 1,000 years.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's really fucked up.
He was my favorite.
They then, again, typically for elves, stole the Justice Golem supplies and set his horse free, and then fled the scene.
I feel like
Fucking
the horse
elves.
was most of the supplies.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't eat, right?
well, he needed oil to oil his armor and his joints, and rope. That's the only two things he had with him.
Like whale fat, like the most medieval oil.
And he also had a little card that said, "If broken, return to this address."
Ooh.
You know, like a internet technician IT card for maintenance and whatever. Anyways, Elray muttered under his breath, "Couldn't just be Derricus or something normal," while Felix lay slumped on the back of the ostrich, groaning in pain. They traveled for days, till the crisp, clean air of the forest gave way to the dank, pungent odor known only as bog smell. Felix was growing pale, and knowing the crunching sound his body made whenever they moved wasn't a good sign. He asked Elray to get a fucking move on. After studying the maps every night, Elray decided to head north some, where they encountered a crude sign in the form of a centipede. But not a living centipede, a centipede that is hollow and long since dead, sort of posed up in position via amalgamation of sticks and vines, its legs pointing in different directions, and it was sort of holding a wooden board with faded moldy writing. Its hollow exoskeleton whistled as the wind blew through it, and for a brief moment, Felix imagined playing one of its hollow arms like a flute. When suddenly, the normally well-behaved ostrich screamed in perhaps excitement of seeing a big bug and pecked it a few times, loosening one of the arms and granting Felix his silent wish. They followed the dead centipede's direction and wind up in Frogtown. That's right, they made it back. An odd sight to say the least. The ground was quite moist, and the ostrich was up to its knees in swamp at times. There was a road in the center, but a road might be too loose a term. More a river, truly.
The frog's
for the
road.
Yeah, for the aquatic folk of the swamp. This is more than acceptable. And indeed, the ostrich is more than happy to just float on down where the current would take them. The boys crawled onto the safety of the bird, trying their best to avoid the murky-ass, stanky-ass, not-so-stagnant-ass bog water, and eventually find themselves washed up on the front shore of a moldy wooden cabin, where they meet a kind old frogman who owns a swamp gas farm that smells, well, a lot like swamp ass, on which they were currently trespassing. Typical elves. No respect for property.
Oh my god. I mean, come on, elves. Communism doesn't work off paper, alright?
The bartender asks if he could heal his friend, and they take him to a local frog faith healer. I'm kind of summarizing here, you may notice. For 3 days and 3 nights, Felix laid in a bath of awful swamp water, parasite-eating orange fish, and is made to eat a few bowls of slimy, warm swamp grass and mushy raw fish, while being high out of his goddamn mind on that dankest of most moss. All the while, the frog faith healer croaks the song of his people. The bartender, made of course...
Yeah. Does that help them heal, or does he just do
Yeah.
that? Oh, okay.
Well, maybe. I'd assume it does. The bartender, of course, made generous cash donations to both the healer and the kind frog who helped him. And, to kill those 3 days, asked for directions to the place marked on the map. It should be pretty near here, just a few miles north, right? Yeah, Ribbit.
God damn it.
Yeah, Ribbit.
The accents are back.
If you want to get killed, Ribbit. Big snakes live there. Eat dumb frogs all day, Ribbit. The two were able to work out an alternate route up and around the snake's den, marking it not on the original map, but on a shelf-like bog mushroom that was easily the size of a dinner plate. That's what they use those for, writing. I have some pictures. I actually found one recently, and I wrote some stuff on the underside of it. Pretty cool. Called, Artist Conks.
Okay. It leaves a bruise, that kind of...
Sorta. It's a little more... just sort of in the spore area.
Yeah.
So it's it'll kind of undo itself when you're done. The old frog spoke of the other dangers, such as choke roots and quicksand, while the bartender himself fixed the rocking chair for the porch and spoke of their destination.
What a good guy.
Yeah, just fucking... he's got time to kill. He's just talking to this guy.
Yeah.
Felix came forth in a daze, and the two were reunited. As they were packing their backpacks and saying goodbye to their friendly hosts, a loud and angry voice boomed through the village. "Redtooth demands to see King Derricus Nesibis. Bring him here." That's right, that fake name was used multiple times.
Yeah. The frogs, they only know him by that fake name, presumably.
Elray asks another favor from the frog farmer, who is now rich enough to hire assistants and probably retire soon. With typical elvish tact and trickery, he convinces the frog farmer to hand the original map over to Red Fang, saying as Red Fang would probably reward the frog up front and then die to snakes later. Elray and Felix make it to the tomb. They take a moment to dry off by a small fire and talk about what kind of dope loot they're going to find in there. Felix hears the distant clicking of a pistol being primed.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
There's guns here.
Oh my god.
And much to the dismay of the hunters... and much to the dismay of their silent hunters, he leaps up and grabs Elray by the shoulder, moving quickly into the tomb's door, and unfortunately for the world, expertly dodging 3 bullets in the process. They move quickly down the dark staircase until they encounter a dope spike pit.
See, they can't jump that pit with their frog legs.
Yeah. Thinking fast, Felix wraps the golem's chain around the hilt of the murdering axe and throws it up into an ancient chandelier dangling above the vicious spike pit. As the clinking and clacking of wood on stone grows louder, so do the yars and hars of their pirate pursuers. As luck would have it, the murdering axe hooks itself into place, and the elves swing right over the pit onto the adjacent ridge. The pirates had just entered the room, but seemed in a bad way. One with an expression of anguish spoke to his comrades. "Yar, matey, I gotta slow down. The scurvy is making me bleed out of my nipples again, yar."
Yeah.
One of the...
I guess.
It does. One of the other pirates takes a shot, but it goes wide, and ricochets off the stone room for a little bit too long. "Hit the poop deck!" screams one of the pirates, and they all duck for cover until a solid plunk is heard, signifying the end of the projectile's spree of terror. One of the pirates cried out in horror, "Ah! Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck!" And then the other pirate spoke to calm him. "Horror! Calm down, matey! You aren't a—" He cut himself off. "By the sea slugs, it cannot be. You shot the grog dispenser! You blasted landlubber! Squad morale broken, yar! Retreat, har!"
So they're kind of like orcs that need to always be in the dark. They just always have to have grog.
Yeah, they need grog to exist,
Right.
so, you know. Squad morale broken.
Squad broken.
Felix and Elray shrug and accept their strangely won victory, but decide to coat the landing slab with the golem's oil juice just in case. I imagine the oil came in like a little like cardboard juice box shape.
Okay.
For the golem to enjoy while he went.
Picturing a little tin can, but like a little can of beans. But
yeah.
Yeah.
He's still in the forest, by the way.
I mean, he's just there in a fire, which is out by now, but
yeah. The two elves venture forth through this dark cavern. They enter the underwater section outlined in a previous story to this one, in case you hadn't picked it up
yes,
yet.
I had. I didn't want to say. I was gonna comment at the end, but
yeah. Elray leading the way with a stick and centipede leg, parting the webs of choke roots and tragically leaving Felix's new flute behind. They emerge on the other side, gasping for breath and groping the walls looking for a torch. And find that it's all cold and slightly pockmarked metal rather than stone that they were expecting. "Walls of ancient steel," muttered Elray. Felix began groping the walls, hoping to find a torch again, but it seemed that just their proximity was enough to trigger blinding white lights from above. It takes a few moments for their eyes to adjust to the sudden brightness, but once they discover the yet unseen by the unworthy eye of elf, a veritable treasure trove, not of gold and silver, but of equipment and information.
okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a room full of friendship.
That's right.
Okay.
To the unknowing mind of an elf, they might describe what they saw as mystical equipments and implements of the highest caliber. Enough magic to sell and buy a nice castle somewhere far, far away from this cursed bog. Or if used properly, take a few castles for themselves. Indeed, they knew that what they saw to be powerful, but they did not yet know its full potential. Amongst the other things in this room were relics from the war with the ancient and forgotten elder gods. Stasis pods containing working prototypes of the X420 plasma rifles, grav plate carapace armor, and a variety of semi-functional gadgets from this ancient era that could be salvaged from their stasis pods. However, in the center of this room was a stone coffin, in which the elves presumed to hold the tomb's eternal guardian. And in a sense, they were right. For here was the final resting place of Cool Kyle, the last bastion of his rebellion, and his grave. They would not disturb his slumber, lest they invoke his unending wrath. Unfortunately for they did pick up a fair amount of tracking shurikens, and would appear in Cool Kyle's internal radar, if only he can escape his solitary confine. The elves make their exit through a small hole in the roof and head off to their next adventure. The end.
Damn. I was not expecting the story crossover till late in the game.
Yeah.
But you're just tying this whole ass universe. Yeah. Well, I will say off the bat, I think your setting is really good. It's very distinct. like a feel to it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, it's good to hear.
So I think you like insert a lot of details really well, and it definitely has like a unique feel. Yeah, so I like that a lot. But yeah, damn, dude. All right, so they found Cool Kyle's tomb, but Cool Kyle is possessing a frog. He's somewhere.
Well, this is supposed to be like a prequel to that.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to find the frog and like free the frog. Who is Cool Kyle, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad that aliens are confirmed real in my setting because you got sci-fi stuff.
Funny how that works.
Rooms.
It's interesting. We did it again.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the true treasure was friendship because they ain't telling anybody about what the fuck they saw.
Yeah.
And they are pretty good friends, so. Yeah.
True that.
Well, good job. That was a very, like, well written story. For sure.
The first part was well written, but I definitely kind of like slumped off, especially when they entered the Frog Village. I'm not gonna lie, this story right here can use at least an extra 10,000 words.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have so much detail, so like this story is a bit of it's more of a journey, I suppose.
Yeah. But hey, I appreciate you listening to it.
I liked it, yeah. No, like I mean, I can't stop thinking about your setting. It's very textured for sure. Yeah. Like I don't know.
And
there's all kinds of little things.
Yeah, I'm kind of like tying all my stories into the same world somehow.
Yeah.
So
mine are the same world. I only reference vague geographic locations, but it's all there. I definitely want to be exploring the Dark Lord that appears in many of the stories.
Yeah, dude. I got some good vibes about that,
There's
dude.
definitely like a classic conflict. My realm is a little cartoonish, I think, which is pretty fun. Yours is very like
it's a little more straight-laced. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very grounded too, like within itself, because like a lot of your analogies or descriptions are based in your setting. Whereas I, have like jokes that are like outside of fantasy, right? So
I feel it, yeah.
But like the way you describe things, someone in the setting could write, So, yeah.
This wasn't me. I didn't write this. Again, it was Evil Stevel. He was living here.
Evil, dude.
He's trans-dimensional. Is he? Yeah. He's real in this world. There's
another thing I need to ask, because I think do our stories take place on different continents or different worlds? Because I'm thinking worlds.
Yeah, I think it's worlds as well.
Crossover, there's got to be a portal, not a boat. You know what I mean?
I completely agree to that,
Yeah.
and I know a guy who's really good at summoning portals.
You have a portal guy.
Yeah, his name is Evil Stevel.
God damn it, Evil Stevel.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we could. Maybe there are certain ships that can transverse the worlds, but we need to dig those up from my old realm here.
That, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna do that till later. Maybe when the Dark Lord gathers all his powers to him, he will be able to take over a new world. But
yeah. I do want to write a crossover with your world here, and I do want to write some sci-fi episodes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe our prompts are open. We're free to do other genres. So, speaking of prompts. Hey, audience, if there is any, feel free to comment below a prompt you would like us to do, and we'll take it into consideration. We usually ask our friends for what the prompts for the next episode will be, and we don't have one yet for the next episode.
We don't have one, so we have 2 open slots.
Absolutely. Hey. Yeah, 2 usually works out, narrows the story, so...
Yes, sir.
Two prompts you think would be good together. Maybe we'll mix and match. Most likely, nobody's going to comment, and we're going to ask our friends.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And, yep. And if anyone wants, of course, to write along with these prompts and submit it, you could always just, email us at the link in the description, and I'm sure we'll be able to post it up somewhere and
we might
link it back to you. Definitely we'll talk about it, talk it up.
If we read it, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to No Gods, No Kings, Only Men. But you better not be a fucking god or a king, because I don't take that shit. All right.
Those dudes tend not to survive.
All right. Thanks everybody.
All right.